Was it a penalty?
100%. Silva is a diver and he's embarrassing himself, but that was a penalty. And Chris Sutton, I can't believe how biased Chris is when he's talking about Rangers. He was saying it's embarrassing. It's not a penalty. It was a penalty. I admire his bravery because he's already been banned from Ibrox, but he is biased.
Off the back of yesterday, Rangers and Celtic a point apiece. Celtic remain top of the table, 1 point clear, but Rangers still have a game in hand. So there's some way to go down here, but there's some way to go up there in Scotland as well. 3-3, it was chaos. But was it a thriller or was it a horror? Philippe Clement of Rangers and Brendan Rodgers spoke post-match on where the title race is now.
We continue now, and that's a really big step forward with a few months ago. We never stop if the scenario goes not our way. We never stop believing and going full to get the scenario our side. So that's a thing you need in a team of real winners. That's what we've been talking about a lot last couple of months. I want to see real winners, and winners never give up. And that is all dressing room show today. So it's a very important victory.
Of course, we come in to win the game. That's what we want to do, but when I see how we played today and knowing that in a few weeks' time we're going to be even better, some of the guys getting more fitness and the guys that are coming back, and for us really, we have still a job to do in the other games, but we play Rangers at home and with our own back and our own crowd and play to our level and our football, then we're pleased with today and hopefully then we can use that going forward.
So Graham, 3-3, you know this fixture inside out. Who's it a better point for?
I think at the end of the game, you're talking on the bigger picture, that we'll see what happens. But at the end of the game, I think Rangers would have felt better about the result. You know, for Celtic, they've scored after 25, 26 seconds, so they got off to a flyer. They were fabulous in that first half. They could have won it in the first half, but they didn't. And then for Rangers to claw themselves back into the game and then Celtic to score a third goal, you know, with minutes to go, a couple of minutes to go, they're thinking job done. And then Matondo steps in and scores a wonder goal at the end of it. So I think at the end of it, I think Rangers would have felt better about it. Celtic would have seen it as a game they should have won. Rangers have clawed themselves back into it, making a very poor start, got themselves back into it in the second half, where played very well in the second half. But still found themselves down 3-2 with a couple of minutes to go. But getting a draw out of that game, the feel-good factor would have been better in the Rangers dressing room.
Were you surprised by Rangers' first half performance?
Well, I think you know, when you look at football, there's generally a reason for it. I think in those games you have to start right. In any game you have to start right. That's the last thing you'd hear a manager stroke coach saying to the players as they go out the door for the match. Make sure we start right, especially in that game, because the crowd are so up for it. To concede a goal in the first 25 seconds doesn't have to put a dent. It makes you wonder. So that's what they managed to do.
Yeah.
So I would put it down to that. I think they showed great character, Rangers, to come back. And as I've said already, I think the momentum is still with Rangers.
I see a number of Celtic fans saying, do you guys not agree the Rangers' resurgence began with cheating? Would Graham have been brandishing his blue card at Fabio Silva? So, I mean, it seemed to be a real climb down from referee John Beaton on Fabio Silva's decision. He originally claimed it was a dive. He booked Silva before VAR asked him to consult the screen, which saw him scrap the card and give a penalty. Was it a penalty?
100%. 100%. I'll tell you.
Chris Sutton said on co-commentary it was embarrassing.
I've got a question for it. Silva is a diver. He is a diver and he's embarrassing himself. So it's now out there. I'm sure they're talking about it in Scotland. But that was a penalty. The defender cut him across his knees with his dangling foot. It's a penalty. He's brought him down. And Chris Sutton, I'm reluctant to go strong on Chris Sutton because he turned up at a charity event 2 weeks from me, and we chatted together. He's funny. He's funny. He did a bit for me, and I'd thank him again for that dinner in Glasgow that you've been to for the Deborah charity. But I can't believe how biased Chris is when he's talking about Rangers. And here's a question I've got for you.
Maybe says the same about you.
No, but it was like he was saying it's embarrassing. It's not a penalty. It was a penalty. It was easily a penalty. It's not even a discussion to have for me, that. And I'm wondering, this is a question I've got for you. Do VAR listen to the commentary during a game? Because I'm thinking Chris is going that strong here. He's trying to influence whoever's listening. Maybe in the VAR, VAR for Scotland's different It's not Stockley Park, is it?
No.
They've got their own bar up there.
Yeah.
So, can you answer this? Do the VAR referees listen to the commentary? I thought Chris was going nuts.
They get a clean feed.
I thought Chris has gone that mad on this. He's trying to influence someone in VAR who's listening to this.
John Beaton didn't think it was a penalty at the time.
But he had a chance to look at it a second time. I come back to your man, Silva. He's causing a problem for himself. He won't get penalties in the future. He won't get fouls in the future because of his theatrics. But that was definitely, in my opinion, 100% a penalty.
It's interesting Graham's takeaway from his impartial and unbiased vantage point because of the way the game has unfolded. That was a decent result for Rangers when they haven't laid a glove on Celtic this season. Celtic have beaten them twice and drawn once. So if Rangers had won this game, they would probably have won the league because they would have been then 2 points away from Celtic with a game in hand. So it'd be interesting to see. I mean, Philip Clement came out afterwards and they spoke very strong about his team, and I like him. I liked him. Obviously, you were in the Lampard camp, and now you're sort of laying your hat on Philip Clement. But it's interesting, the characterisation. You're taking the microcosm of the game and saying, yeah, I get it, because Rangers got out of jail and had the fortitude to come back, even though Celtic had scored early and late. But before the game, you've been beaten twice by them this season, and you've got an opportunity to put clear daylight between you. That is going to be disappointing for Rangers. That will be a disappointing outcome because, Brendan Rodgers pulled off. At the last minute, he pulled away from what he was about to say. He said, the next time we play him, we'll be at Parkhead, but with our fans behind us. And he was just about to say something else, and he thought, no, actually, I'll leave that one in the ether.
Well, I was at the last
because he thinks he can beat them quite easily at Parkhead.
I was at the last game at Parkhead. And Rangers lost 2-1 and should have got something from the game.
But they didn't.
It was a similar story. First half all Celtic, Rangers got a player sent off, and they got back into the game. So there's several inaccuracies, which is quite normal for you on a Monday morning.
No, Graham, they've lost. They haven't laid a glove on Celtic this season.
We were talking about the game, a 90-minute game yesterday,
yeah,
and who would feel better.
And I characterised it that way by saying it's an interesting analysis. Yes.
Well, that's my analysis. I was asked who would feel better.
Agreeing with Simon. Thank goodness Simon's back. A bit of sense applies here. Thank
you.
Who
would feel
we
better
have got Rangers number, says you.
Who would feel better after the game yesterday? And
in the moment.
In my experience,
in the moment, yes, of course you're
right.
That's
what the question was.
No, in the moment, Graham.
That's what the question was. I think that was a question you asked me.
Well,
who will feel better? Who will feel better about it? And I gave what I believe to be correct, having been a player, only person in the room who's been a player in the dressing room, having those feelings.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
absolutely,
Rangers will feel better about the result yesterday than Celtic. Celtic would see it as a chance to win the game, and they blew it.
But that again, I characterise it that way. So, clear your ears out and listen to what I said.
Just to clear up something.
Your characterisation of that game was in that moment, but I'm looking at Rangers and going, this isn't about that game, this is about winning the league. It's about winning the league.
I would agree with you. They've not beat them yet.
To do that, they've got to beat Celtic, and they don't.
Well, they've got a chance.
And they don't.
They've still got a chance to do that.
You can't argue with that, Graham. They don't.
They don't what?
They don't beat Celtic.
They don't beat Celtic.
They haven't beat Celtic this year, no.
Right.
Is Ewan right, the Celtic fan? We have got Rangers' number. It seems they have.
Anyone, like we're talking about the English Premier League, like talking about the Celtic Rangers situation in Scotland, it's all to play for. Who's to say that that game at Parkhead isn't a decider? Football is such a business. The minute you hang your hat and say this is going to happen, this is definitely going to happen, it doesn't happen.
Okay, we'll put it out there.
There's so many possibilities. No, you're not putting anything out there. You're not understanding me, or you're choosing not to listen to me. You can't get a crystal ball out and say this is definitely going to happen. The game at Parkhead might be incidental. It might be Celtic may have won it by then. Rangers might have dropped a couple of games. And it might be the other way around.
Was it a thriller? Was it a horror? Did Fabio Silva dive? Did he cheat his way to get a penalty kick to get Rangers back into it? What was your take on that? And Graham is saying that Chris Sutton has to be a whole lot less biased in his co-commentary when it comes to Rangers Celtic. You honestly think that he is?
Oh, totally. But relucantly say I admire his bravery because he's already been banned from Ibrox. I admire his he's prepared to go on such a limb for his football team, but he is biased.
I mean, you could argue that, or he could argue that he saw it the way the referee John Beaton saw it.
He saw it in real time. I can't tell you where the referee was standing when that incident happened. I
think he was looking straight at it.
I'm repeating myself. When you look at that, just why is it not a penalty? He's caught him across the knees with his trailing foot. How is it not a penalty?
Well, Chris Sutton said on commentary duty he claimed it was an embarrassing decision that amounted to cheating from Silva. Rangers got back into it, and we now know that it was a point apiece at the end of it. But it was chaos, wasn't it?
Silva does dive, and he's embarrassing himself, and now the word is out about him being a diver, so you'll get less and less fouls. And we've seen it.
But
many
he didn't
times.
dive on that occasion, you're saying?
No, I think that was a legitimate penalty.